or do you have anything regarding the question paper or the answers corrected? If you have any questions, let me know. Otherwise, we'll go for next topic. Any doubts? Any clarifications on the questions? Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay, let us begin then. So if no questions. So in today's class, we are going to discuss about Liouville's theorem mostly, but before that, we will discuss about the modifiers and the properties of the modifiers. So any questions? Sorry, do you know the Liouville's theorem? Which have you studied that in the complex variables, complex analysis course? The Liouville's theorem. Was it covered? Liouville's theorem was it covered in a complex analysis course? Yes or no? Hello?
Sir, I think not yet.
Not yet. Okay, okay, fine, no problem. So that will be again coming. Okay, once the analytic functions etc. is coming. Okay, so okay. So we have discussed about the modifiers. Okay, the Liouville's theorem again we will be. I will just explain here. The same thing will be studying in complex analysis, but that will be in the complex analysis perspective. But this is going to be in the PDE perspective. We are going to prove it. Almost the functions are harmonic. There also will be dealing with the harmonic functions only. So let us see that. Okay, so let us recall modifiers. So the modifiers I just denoted as eta of x. So eta of x equal to c into exponential of 1 by mod x square minus 1 if mod x is less than 1 and 0 if mod x is greater than or equal to 1. Okay, so this is the modifier and the c is chosen in such a way that your integral over r power n eta of x dx equal to 1. Okay, so then this is called standard modifier. If this is satisfied, then this is called standard modifier. Now next one, what we are going to do is that for each epsilon, so for example, if I give an epsilon, okay, for that I can define the modifier in the following way. So eta epsilon of x equal to 1 by epsilon power n into eta of x by epsilon. Okay, this is called modifier. This is also called modifier. This is standard modifier. This is the modifier for given epsilon. Okay, for a given epsilon greater than 0, eta epsilon of x I can define as 1 by epsilon n eta x by epsilon. Okay, then this is called also called modifier. So from this one also you can prove that. So you can prove that and satisfy. So we can prove that this one eta epsilon belongs to c infinity of r power n. Okay, because here exponential is a infinitely differentiable function. How many times you take it, it is going to be infinitely differentiable. Therefore, it is going to be eta is going to belongs to c infinity. Now eta epsilon also I defined it in a similar way. Okay, so from eta of x only I have defined. So that is just a modification. I just introduce x by epsilon. Therefore, this is also going to belongs to eta epsilon also going to belongs to c infinity r power. So apart from that, you can prove this one also. Integral eta x dx is also going to be 1. Okay, because there is a epsilon power n, and here you have a x by epsilon. So if you take that the change of variable, then you are going to get one more epsilon power n is going to come. Both are going to get cancelled. So you are going to get eta. This is going to become like 1 again. Okay. So other observations you can have is that the support of eta epsilon is going to be a subset of, it is going to be a subset of p of 0 comma epsilon. Okay, what is support of f? The support of f is, suppose f is a function. Okay, f is a function from r from some set to another set. Okay, then let us say omega to r. Okay, okay. In that case, what is the support of f? Is that the support of f is nothing but support of f is equal to set of all x belongs to omega such that f of x not equal to 0 and take the closure of it. Okay, take the closure of it. That is called the support of the function f. So here you can prove that support of epsilon, eta epsilon is going to be subset of beta of 0 comma epsilon, because once you take this eta epsilon, the domain is going to be here mod x less than or equal to 1 is going to be there. So in this case, eta of epsilon means eta x by epsilon is going to be there. Therefore, here I can put x by epsilon less than 1. Therefore, the radius is going to be, the ball is going to be with center 0 and radius is going to be epsilon. Okay, that's what you are going to get it. Therefore, the support of epsilon, eta epsilon is going to be subset of b, the ball b of 0 comma epsilon. Okay, so that is going to be there, because I am going to take set of all f of x not equal to 0. Okay, so that is going to be there. Okay, now suppose a function is given. Okay, suppose a function is given. Let us say f is a function from omega to r is locally integrable. Okay, locally integrable. So we have discussed about locally integrable in the last class. So same thing, definition. Then for its the modification, what we can do is what I can define is that I can define as follows. Okay, f epsilon. Okay, so f epsilon, the same epsilon. Okay, is defined as follows. You take eta epsilon and convolute with f. Let me say what is convolution. Okay, in omega epsilon, it is going to be some omega epsilon is going to come. Let me say what is this symbol star. Okay, this is called convolution. So this is defined as follows. Okay, f eta of x, I'm just going to define. This is going to be integral over omega. Okay, and then you define eta of epsilon of x minus y into f of y into dy. So this is usually called as convolution. This is called convolution. Okay. Or I can define it as, okay, I can just rewrite this as integral over b of 0 comma epsilon. Okay, I'm just going to this one I can write as eta of x into f of x minus y also I can write it. Okay, so the same thing, it is going to be that. Okay, so this one you can just use the change of variable. You put z equal to x minus y and then change of the variable, then you are going to get the same thing. Okay, so in that case you are going to get it. So this one I can write as eta of x into sorry, eta of y into, okay, just put that change of variable, eta of y into f of x minus y into dy. Both are going to be same. Okay, this is equivalent one or equal one. Okay, so you can prove that these two are equal. That is property of the convolution. Okay, so for here x belongs to omega epsilon. Okay, so this is modification. Suppose any function is given, you can define its modification. The modification is defined as eta epsilon of x minus y into f of y dy. Okay, or eta epsilon of y into f of x minus y dy. So this is called the modification. So you take the convolution with respect to the modifier, then you are going to get that answer. Okay, that is called modification. Now let us see some of the properties of the modification. Okay, modifiers. So we have that f epsilon is that this f epsilon is going to be c infinity of r power n, because we already know that eta epsilon is going to be r power n. Okay, from that we have to prove that f epsilon belongs to c infinity of omega epsilon. We got to prove. Okay, f epsilon belongs to c infinity of omega. Let us prove that. Let me prove the first one. Okay, then other properties also will prove it. One or two properties I will just leave it to you to prove it. So let's fix an x belongs to omega. Okay, x belongs to omega. And let I belongs to 1 to n. Okay, I belongs to 1 to n, because x is a x belongs to r power n. Okay, x belongs to omega epsilon, which is a subset of r power n. Therefore, there is a indexes are going to be there. So I just take I belongs to 1, 2, 3, etc. n. Okay, then I'm going to define what I'm going to do is that I'm just going to, if kach is very small, then kach x plus kach ei also belongs to omega epsilon. Okay. So these are all given. Then what I need to prove is that I need to prove that I need to prove this one. So in order to prove that, I'm just taking f epsilon of, first let me prove it belongs to C1, then I can prove the rest of the thing. So f epsilon belongs to x plus kach ei minus f epsilon of x. I'm just taking the derivative, okay, divided by kach. That is going to be, I got to apply this definition, okay. So that is going to be 1 by epsilon power n. I'm applying the definition of epsilon eta epsilon of x minus y, okay. So over omega 1 by kach into eta of x plus kach ei minus y divided by epsilon minus eta of x minus y by epsilon. Okay. So this one, I'm just going to take some, this is going to be equal for some open set. Okay, I'm just going to take some open set because there is a compact support is going to come. So that open set omega 1, I'm going to take it, which is compactly contained in omega, for which also this is going to be true. So I'm going to have 1 by epsilon power n omega 1. Okay, so instead of this omega, I'm just going to take compactly contained in 1. So that is also going to be true. Okay, so therefore you are going to get 1 by kach into eta of x plus kach ei minus y by epsilon minus eta into x minus y by epsilon. Okay. Fine. So okay. So what we have is that we have we have to prove this one. Okay, what we need to prove is that I'm just going to take the derivative. Okay, if I allow kach tends to 0, okay, if I allow kach tends to 0, what it is going to come? This is going to become like, you know, this is the derivative. Okay, the derivative, you are going to get it. Okay, so 1 by epsilon. So you are going to get this one. So I just apply that eta into x minus y, etc. You are going to apply. So this is going to become like epsilon power n is going to come. So here, actually, this is with respect to dy. So dy is missing that dy. Okay. Now what we know, like if we apply the kach tends to 0, this is going to become like eta dou eta of. Okay, so 1 by I'm just taking only this part. So this is going to become like, if I apply that, okay, so what it is going to become like, it is going to become like dou eta of dou xi into x minus y by epsilon. Okay, as a kach tends to 0, apply the kach tends to 0. This is going to be, okay, 1 by epsilon into, because 1 by there is a by epsilon is there, you have to take the derivative of that one also. So you are going to get 1 by eta dou eta by dou xi x minus y by epsilon. So it is the normal definition, the usual definition of the derivative. I'm just applying it here. Now what we have to prove is that you got to prove that it is converging uniformly also. Okay, so for which you need to use the theorems which you have learned in the analysis course. So here it is omega 1 is compactly contained in omega. That means it's a compact one. Okay, so since it is compact one, it is going to be differentiable. Okay, so this is already obtaining the differentiable, and we have that compact set is there. Use that concept, and then you are going to get, it is going to be uniformly converging to, is going to come. Okay, uniformly converging to this dou eta by dou xi is going to come. So therefore, what you are going to get? So therefore, this side the limit is going to exist. That means this is going to be existing. That means I have dou f epsilon by dou xi is going to exist. This is existing. Okay, and you can prove that this is equal to, okay, this is equal to, so this is going to exist and this is equal to integral same thing. Okay, so you apply this one as per the definition. Okay, then what you are going to get is that you are going to get dou eta by dou xi f of x minus y, dou eta of x minus y into f of y dy is going to come. So now you can just use the same definitions again and again. Okay, this is going to exist. Now take the definition again and again. Repeat that every time. Then what you are going to get is that you are going to get not only dou fx, dou f of dou epsilon of x, dou xy by f of x is going to come. Okay, dou epsilon x is going to be first time differentiable. Not only first time, you do the same thing. Okay, whatever I did, now just take this as some g of epsilon of x. Apply the same concept here. Okay, apply that over here, because every time this is differentiable. Okay, because eta belongs to C infinity. Therefore, this time eta belongs to here. Therefore, this is going to be existing. Therefore, this is going to exist. Now take g of epsilon, apply the same definition. Then you are going to get dou square eta by dou xi is going to come. Again, the same definition, apply that, because eta belongs to C infinity. Therefore, g epsilon will be there. Now take another one. Okay, etc. etc. So you can take this one. You can take it as df is going to be there. This you have proof for df. Now take d square f. Again, apply the same concept. The dou square is going to come, d cube f, etc. etc. So if you take any alpha, it is going to be there. Therefore, what you are going to get is that in general, what you are going to get is that d alpha epsilon, d alpha f epsilon of x equal to integral over omega d alpha eta of x minus y into f of y dy. Okay, so since d alpha of eta of x minus y, because n belongs to C infinity, therefore d alpha of n x minus y is going to be there. Therefore, this is going to be differentiable, and therefore it is going to be there. Therefore, that means I have f epsilon belongs to C infinity. Okay. Okay. Next one, what I have f epsilon. Next one, I have f epsilon tends to f almost everywhere. Okay, converges to almost everywhere as epsilon tends to 0. So you might have studied the almost everywhere concept in the analysis course. So almost everywhere means, what is the concept of almost everywhere? And Lebesgue theory you might have studied. What do you need to prove? If it is almost everywhere means, anyone? In Lebesgue theory you might have studied that almost everywhere. Anyone? Kurinder, Dasna. What is almost everywhere? Is it not covered in analysis course? Almost everywhere. Anyone? Hello?
Sir, it is like that property will hold except a set whose measure is 0. Like,
yes. Okay. Yeah. Fine. Good. So same concept we are going to use it. So this Lebesgue differentiation theorem I have mentioned in the last class. Okay, this statement of the theorem only I have mentioned, but this is part of the Lebesgue method theory you might have studied. So using that concept only we are going to do. So almost everywhere means what we have is that it is going to be the measure is going to be okay. The wherever the property is going to hold, that if it is not going to hold, that if you are going to collect it, okay, then that place it is going to be, the measure is going to be 0. Okay. So the same concept I'm going to use it here. Okay, so this is from the I'm just using it in the Lebesgue differentiation theorem. That part I'm going to use it. Okay, so that is this is the Lebesgue differentiation theorem, so which is going to have limit r tends to 0, average integral b of x comma r modulus of f of y minus f of x into dy equal to 0. Okay, limit r tends to 0 for almost everywhere. For almost everywhere, x belongs to omega. Okay. Now we are going to fix such a point. Okay, fix such a point x. Let us fix a point x in omega. Okay. then what I'm going to have, I'm just going to define what is my f epsilon of x minus f of x. Okay, this I'm going to check it. So that is going to be, I'm just going to apply the definition. F epsilon x definition I'm going to apply. So this is going to be b of x comma epsilon. Okay. So either you can put omega epsilon or b of x comma epsilon, both are going to be same, because the eta epsilon is going to be defined only in that place. Eta epsilon of x minus y into f of y, okay, minus f of x into dy. Okay, so this is going to be that. So this I'm just going to define. Okay, eta of epsilon of x minus y, f of y minus f of x into dy. What will happen here actually? See here I'm just adding some term. Okay, so this part I know, f of epsilon definition I know, eta of epsilon x minus y into f of y dy. Now how come this is true? Why it is true? For f of x, for f of x I don't have any definition like this, right? Eta of epsilon x minus y I'm multiplying. Why this is true? Why is it true? This part? Anyone? Think about it and then tell me why it is true. Just use the definition of the modifier. And one property also we have discussed. Any idea why this is true? So this part is clear. Okay, this part is clear because f epsilon is, the definition is this one, eta epsilon x minus y f of y dy. Now how come this is true? So I can write f of x dy. Okay, so let me just check whether it is true or not. Okay, so if I just take eta epsilon of x minus y into f of x dy, this is differentiation, integration is with respect to y only. Therefore, I can take f of x outside. Okay, so therefore this is going to come. Now, p of x comma epsilon, what is this one? This is going to be this portion. This is going to be 1, right? That's the property of the modifier. Therefore, this is going to be simply f of x. That's why I have used here. Okay. Okay, fine. Now, so this is going to be less than or equal to epsilon power n into b of x comma epsilon, eta of x minus y into x minus y by epsilon, f of y minus f of x dy is going to come. Okay, I'm just going to bring that modulus inside that. Okay, so therefore this is going to be modulus, and this is, we know already it is a positive one. Okay, it is always positive one. Therefore, I'm going to keep it only here. Okay, only here I'm going to keep it. So therefore, what it is going to come? So this is going to be like b of x comma epsilon, etc. is there. So this is going to be some this eta of x minus y by epsilon. So this is going to be, if I just take this one, this is going to be less than or equal to, it is going to be bounded function. So it is going to be less than or equal to, this is going to come, and epsilon power n is there. So this one, it is the ball of radius x comma ball of radius epsilon. Therefore, its volume is going to be epsilon power n is going to come. Therefore, I'm just going to crop all, I'm just going to absorb all the things together, and then I'm going to write one constant which is called c. Okay, so and then I'm going to take care of the rest of the things. Okay, so this function is going to be bounded, and epsilon power n is there. All these things together, I'm just going to take it outside. Okay, that is going to be like this is these things together, I'm going to write as c. So therefore, this is going to become like b of x comma epsilon. I'm just going to write it as the average integral definition. Okay, mod f of y minus f of x into dy. Now use this theorem. Okay, so limit r tends to 0, b of x comma r dy equal to 0 for almost everywhere x belongs to omega. Therefore, if I allow epsilon tends to 0 here, therefore you can use this concept. Therefore, this is going to be 0 as epsilon tends to 0. So if this is going to tends to 0, therefore this is going to tends to 0. That means f epsilon converges to f almost everywhere as epsilon tends to 0. Okay. Then third theorem. So you have to prove that f belongs to c omega. suppose f belongs to c omega, okay, if this f belongs to c omega, then your f epsilon converges to f, okay, uniformly on compact subsets of omega. Okay, compact subsets of omega. Let us prove this one. Okay, so again, same concept. You have to use this concept, okay, for almost everywhere. And we have this one also, f epsilon of x, f epsilon minus f of x tends to 0 as epsilon tends to 0. Now we have this, suppose f belongs to c omega. Okay, let us choose omega 1, some omega 1 compactly contained in omega. Okay, now I'm going to choose one more thing. Okay, so I'm just going to choose omega 1 and omega 2 such that omega 1 is compactly contained in omega 2 and omega 2 is compactly contained in omega. Okay, this I'm going to choose it. Okay, so it is given that f belongs to c of omega. I got to choose that uniformly and compact subsets I got to choose. So for which I'm just taking omega 1, which is compactly contained in omega 2, omega 2 compactly contained in omega. We know that f belongs to c omega. That means f is continuous. Okay, f is continuous, and if I take it in omega 2, okay, it is compact. Therefore, what you are going to get, it is going to be uniformly continuous. Okay, therefore, f is continuous. F belongs to c omega implies that f is uniformly continuous on omega 2. Therefore, what you are going to get is that you are going to get f epsilon x minus f of x converges to 0. Okay, uniformly. Why? Because it is going to be uniformly continuous. This f is going to be uniformly continuous in omega 2. Okay, so then this omega 1 also you are going to get it because you got to use the property of the previous one. This property you got to use it, okay, for almost everywhere you are going to get. So therefore you are going to get uniformly for all x belongs to omega 1. Okay, so here remember that this is uniformly continuous in omega 2. Therefore it is going to be uniformly convergence in omega 1 also, because this is also compactly contained in omega 2. Okay, that's the reason it is going to come. So therefore what you can get, this omega 1 is compactly contained in omega. Therefore you can prove that f epsilon tends to f uniformly on omega 1. Okay, so omega is a compact subset, so this that's all. Okay, so this is once again from the properties of the Lebesgue theorems and the uniform convergence functions of the series of functions, sequence of functions concepts over here. Any doubt so far? Okay, so next one, the last part is 1 less than or equal to p less than or equal to infinity. F belongs to LP of LP log omega. Then also you can prove that f epsilon tends to f in LP log of omega. So this part I leave it as an exercise. Same thing you got to use. Okay, so f epsilon tends to f, you got to prove it. Okay, so you use the same concept whatever we have used here. Okay, just take the integral. Okay, what is the definition of LP omega? You got to LP log omega, you got to take it and then apply that. That's all. So that part I leave it to you as an exercise. Okay, so now what we are going to prove is that we are going to prove about regularity, okay, which is one of the important concept in PDE, regularity. Okay, because using that only many of the important boundedness, all these things are going to come. Okay, so that is one of the important things. Okay, so in this section what we are going to prove is that if u belongs to c square omega, okay, then we are going to prove that u belongs to c infinity of omega. Okay, if u belongs to c square omega, which is harmonic, suppose this u belongs to c square omega is harmonic, then this u belongs to c infinity of omega. Okay, So that means what it is going to say is that the harmonic functions are automatically infinitely differentiable. If you take any harmonic, if you take the harmonic function which belongs to c square omega, then it is automatically infinitely differentiable also. So this is called regularity theorem. Okay, this is called regularity theorem, or we can say that the algebraic structure, of the Laplace equation del u equal to 0 leads to analytical deduction. Okay, analytical deduction that all partial derivatives of u exist. Remember that this is a second order PDE only. Del u equal to 0 is a second order PDE. But for which, if this you find a u such that this is going to be satisfied, then that is going to take automatically that partial derivatives of u, all partial derivatives going to exist. Okay, although this is a second order PDE. Okay, that is very beautiful, because what you are trying to prove is that del u equal to 0, for which you are trying to find a u belong to c square omega. Okay, but what you are getting is that u belong to c infinity of omega is going to be that. That means you are just trying to dig a land where you try to find some water, but instead you got a gold. Okay, that means you'll be very happy, right? That's the same thing is happening here. You are trying to find a function u such that del u equal to 0. This is going to be second order. At least I want a second order one to be satisfied. U belongs to c square omega, but if it belongs to, automatically it belongs to c infinity of omega is going to be there. Okay, so that is just such a beautiful thing. Okay, because you are expecting something less, but you are getting more than what you are expecting. Okay, so we will prove that. So if u belongs to c infinity of omega, let us prove one theorem. Okay, if u belongs to c infinity of omega, sorry, c of omega, and that satisfies the mean value property. Okay, mean value property is satisfied. Okay, it satisfies the mean value property for each ball. B of x comma r, then your u is going to belongs to c infinity of omega. Okay. Okay, let us prove that. So again, I'm going to take eta be the standard modifier. Okay, and remember that you know like how to define this. Suppose u is given to you, this u is given to you, then what you can define is that you can define the modification of that. Okay, so eta is also a radial function, because so it is a radial function because it is going to be defined only on that ball. Okay, so it is called radial function also. So now we can define that u epsilon, the modification I'm going to define, which is nothing but eta of epsilon star u, okay, in omega epsilon, where omega epsilon is defined as follows: x belongs to omega such that distance between x comma dou epsilon, dou omega is going to be greater than epsilon. Okay, this I'm just going to take it. Okay, this is my omega. So as we have proved in the last theorem, the properties of the modifiers, what you can prove is that you can prove that u epsilon belongs to c infinity of omega epsilon. Okay, we have this property, right? If f belongs to c omega, so we have proved this one. If f belongs to c omega, then you can prove that f epsilon tends to f, etc. You can prove that. So therefore, what you are going to get is that you are going to get, okay, so sorry, yeah. So your f belongs to c omega, then you can prove this one. Okay, omega up to r is locally integrable, etc. is there. So if it is c omega, if u belongs to c omega, then automatically it belongs to locally integrable. Therefore, you can define the modification. So in that case, what you can prove is that f epsilon belongs to c infinity of omega. Same thing here. So u belongs to c omega, u epsilon I have defined, that is going to be defined, and this u epsilon is going to be belong to c infinity of omega epsilon as they have defined the properties of modifiers. So that part is clear. Okay. Now what we need to prove is that we have to prove that your u is equal to u epsilon, okay, on the domain on omega epsilon I got to define. On omega epsilon I'm going to define. Okay, then I will extend it further. So we know the definition of u epsilon. Okay, u epsilon is going to be integral over omega eta of x minus y, okay, divided by epsilon into u of y dy. I'm just skipping the first step. Okay, divided by 1 by epsilon power n. Okay, so this omega, so first you will have eta epsilon x minus y into u of y dy will come. So that I'm just applying the definition. Okay, and then this one I can just define it on only b of x comma epsilon, because it is going to be defined only in that region. Other region it is not going to be defined. So therefore, what you are going to get? So this one I can just rewrite this one as, since it's a radial function, I'm just going to apply the transformation. Okay, so this one I'm just going to apply r equal to mod x minus y. I'm going to apply. Okay, so in writing this one is same as writing this one also. Okay, because it is a radial function. I mentioned eta epsilon is a radial function, so you can prove that this one, integral of this one and integral of mod x minus y epsilon, both are going to be same. Okay, so therefore what you can prove is that u epsilon equal to 1 by epsilon power n eta of x minus y by epsilon. Okay, so this I'm just going to define r. R is nothing but the radial direction. So this is going to become like then 1 by epsilon power n integral 0 to epsilon. Okay, eta of r by epsilon. Okay, this is going to be there. Then I'm just going to apply that. One second. Okay, now I'm going to apply the mean value property here, because you know from the mean value property u of y can be written as over the boundary. Okay, you will write that. So you know this one, u of x equal to integral, you write this as dou b of x comma r, okay, u of y into dsy. This is from the mean value property you have. Okay, so that same thing I'm going to apply it here. Okay, the u of y I'm just going to apply it as this property I'm going to apply. So integral dou b of x comma r. Okay, this is the dummy variable, I can put it. Okay, so that is going to become like u of y into dsy into dr. This dr is for this one. Okay, fine. So this one I'm just going to write it as follows. So dou b of x comma r is there, right? So I'm just going to apply u epsilon x is there. So this one I'm just going to replace again. Okay, so this one you know this property u of y d of sy, another property also you know that. So sorry, this is dou b of x comma r. Okay, so this is the one we have, dou b of x comma r u of y d of sy is there. One sec. There's a mistake I committed. One sec. Sorry, I made a mistake here. Okay, I will explain again here. Fine. This is the mean value property. Now with the bar it is there. Okay, so I made a mistake here. So 1 by epsilon power n, let it be there. Okay, this is b of x comma epsilon, right? So what I'm going to do is that, so this is the r power n one. Okay, this b of x comma epsilon is subset of r power n. Okay, now what I'm going to do is that I'm just going to keep one variable. Okay, with respect to one variable, I'm just going to keep it as r. Another variable, it is going to be as it is, means r power n minus 1. Remaining thing, it is going to be r power n minus 1, because we have already seen that this can be written as integral 0 to r. Okay, and then I can write this is in terms of r power n minus 1 we can write. Okay, this we have discussed in one of the classes. Same thing I'm going to do here. Okay, so this is going to become like 0 to epsilon. Okay, for x minus y into epsilon, because it is defined in that ball only, b of x comma epsilon. So 0 to epsilon eta of r by epsilon. Okay, and remaining thing, it is going to be the r power n minus 1. That means it is going to be the surface of this dou b of x comma epsilon. Okay, that is going to be integral 0 dou b of x comma r. I'm going to write. Okay, with respect to r, I'm going to do it. So dou b of x comma r u of y into dsy. Okay, into dr. So this is the volume integral. This is the complete volume integral. But complete volume integral, I can write it as one variable. I can write it as 0 to epsilon. Remaining thing I can write as surface integral. Okay, that's the same thing I'm writing here. Okay, so therefore this one I can do. Okay, so this one I'm just writing it again. So from this one, u of x equal to dou b of x comma r u of y d of sy is there. So apply the definition of integral u of y d of sy from this one. Then there will be a n into alpha n into r power n minus 1 is going to come here. Okay, that also we have. So therefore, this is going to become like, I can write this 1 by epsilon power n. Okay, first thing is as it is 0 to epsilon eta of r by epsilon, eta of r by epsilon. Then integral dou b of x comma r u of y into d of sy, it is going to become like, use this property, mean value property. Therefore, you are going to get n into alpha of n into r power n minus 1 into dr into ux will come. So that ux I'm going to write it outside. Okay. So this one, once again, you can just this whole things. Okay, this is the radial function. Once again, you can write it as, because it is a 0 to epsilon etc. is there. So this is going to be the surface integral. Okay, for the n eta of epsilon comma dy. So this one I can write as u of x into, okay, integral dou b of 0 comma epsilon eta epsilon dy. Apply the definition of eta of epsilon dy over the ball dou b of x 0 comma epsilon, you are going to get the same thing. Okay, but what is this one? This is going to be 1. Okay, because eta of epsilon x is going to be defined only in that region. Okay, this is going to be in this region. So I got chosen distance between x comma dou epsilon is greater than epsilon. Therefore, this integral is going to be 1. Therefore, you are going to get ux. So I got chosen some x. Okay, you got started with u epsilon and you ended with u of x. Therefore, what you got is that you got this one, u equal to u epsilon. Okay, since u belongs to u epsilon belongs to c infinity of omega, u belongs to c infinity of omega for each epsilon greater than 0. Therefore, the claim and the proof is done. Any questions? Any questions? Sorry, I committed a mistake here. It should not be from here to here, but from here to from here I got to use this property. Okay. Any questions? Okay. Next, we are going to prove the Liouville's theorem. Okay. So this is one of the beautiful theorem in complex analysis also. Okay, so at least one question you can expect in CSIR or GATE exam, which is if you are writing something in complex questions. So one questions will be there from related to the harmonic function and Liouville's theorem in complex analysis course. Okay, so almost same property only here. So what we are going to do is that, suppose u from r power n to r, okay, is harmonic and bounded, then it is constant. Then u is constant. Okay. So again, here I'm going to prove part of the theorem, and part of the theorems I will just have claim 1, claim 2, claim 3, etc. So claim 1 I will just prove it. Claim 2 you have to prove it. Okay. So claim 1 I will prove it. Claim 2 part is straightforward once you prove the claim 1. Okay. So that you are going to prove it. So let us fix x naught belongs to r power n. X naught belongs to r power n. Okay, and r greater than 0. Then claim 1 is that I got to claim that du x naught is the model, the absolute value of du x naught is less than or equal to c by r power n plus 1. Okay, into norm of u with respect to the norm L1 of b of x naught comma r. Okay, this is claim 1. This is claim number 1. Claim number 2 is that I have to prove that c by r power n, this right hand side, c by r power n plus 1 is less than or equal to, sorry, c by r power n plus 1 into norm of u L1 b of x naught comma r is less than or equal to c into alpha of n by r into norm of u L infinity of r power n. Okay, only this part is little complicated. This part is straightforward because u of L1 of B of x naught comma r is there. So alpha n by r is going to come. Okay, alpha n r power n is going to come here. And only thing is this, you got to find the relations between L1 and L infinity. Okay, that is also you can get it from some standard theorems. So from that one, you can straightforward, you can prove this one. Okay, so that second part is a very easy one. So I'm just skipping that. So only the first one I'm just going to prove it now. Suppose this claim 1 and 2 are true. Okay, suppose this claim 1 and 2 are true, then as r tends to infinity, what you are going to get is that you are going to get your du x naught is going to be 0. Okay, so this is true. Okay, so then if r tends to infinity, what you are going to get is that even without itself, you can prove that. Okay, so this is that. Okay, but if you have that r power n plus 1, then what you can prove is that your du of x naught as r tends to infinity, what is going to come? It is going to tends to 0. Okay, du of x naught tends to 0. Therefore, what you are going to get? You are going to get du is identically equal to 0 is going to come. So if du equal to 0, u is constant. Okay, so the only part left with is that I got to prove that this one. Okay, the second part is very clear because you have L1 of B of x naught comma r. You know the ball. So for the ball, you can just find the relations between the L1 and L infinity. So you are going to get alpha n into r power n is going to come. So that is going to get cancelled. So you are going to get alpha n by r is going to come. So you need to find what is the relations between L1 and L2 in the L infinity in the Lebesgue setup. Okay, so that one you can find it easily. Okay, so now we are going to claim only the claim 1. So proof of claim 1 I will provide. Okay, then we can complete this class. So what we got to prove is that we got to prove this one: du of x naught less than or equal to c into r power n, norm of u with respect to the L1 B of x naught comma r. Okay, so we can immediately show one thing. So u of x naught, okay, u of x naught is less than or equal to c by r power n. Okay, norm u into L1 of B of x naught comma r, which is obvious because what is u of x naught? U of x naught, you know that you can apply that property of mean value property. You can apply that. Okay, so then you are going to get this one. Okay, r power n, alpha n, r power n, etc. will come. So that is going to be like I'm just going to call it as c. Then you can prove this one very easily. Okay, it is very straightforward. Now, since u is harmonic, what you are going to do is that you are going to apply. You are going to find what is uxi. Okay, so let us find what is uxi at x naught. Okay, so uxi at x naught is going to be equal to integral b of x naught comma r by 2. Okay, I'm just going to take only the half of the ball. Okay, which is going to be equal to u average integral uxi dx is going to come. Okay, so u is harmonic. Okay, u is harmonic. Differentiating the Laplace equation, we can prove that uxi is also harmonic. Since uxi is harmonic, what you can prove is that you can prove that modulus of b of x naught comma r by 2 uxi dx, you can prove that. Okay, so because there will be a two, it is not going to be the entire region, it is going to be only the half of the region is going to come. Okay, in that case, because u of xi you are going to get it. So in this case, what you are going to get, you are going to apply the definition of the average integral. Okay, that is going to become like 1 by alpha of n into r by 2 power n. Okay, into integral b of x naught comma r by 2 uxi dx, which is less than or equal to. Okay, so I'm just going to apply the definition again. Okay, this is going to become like 2 alpha n is there. Okay, so b of x naught by r by 2 is there. Again, apply that definition of this b of x naught by r by 2. So that radius you are going to get. So if you apply that, you are going to get only 2 by 2 n by r is going to come, because there will be a b of x naught comma r by 2 is there. Apply the definition. So you are going to get 2 n by r is going to come into, this is going to be on the, if b of x naught by r by 2, that is going to be L1 of L1 is going to be there. So you can prove this one. Okay, so this one you can prove that norm u of L1 is less than or equal to norm u of L infinity. You can prove that. Okay, this is going to be the maximum one, this is going to be the least one. So you can prove that one. So from that one, what you are going to get is that you are going to get 2n by r norm u L infinity of b of x naught comma r by 2, because this is nothing but the L1 norm. Okay, this is nothing but the L1 norm, this is going to be the L2 norm. Okay, this is going to be straightforward. So therefore, now what we are going to take is that we are going to take, we have taken our x naught. Okay, your x naught is chosen in r power n. Now what I'm going to take is that I'm going to take my x belongs to, okay, let me remove the rest. Let us take x belongs to dou b of and the boundary. Okay, I'm just going to take my x in dou b of x naught comma r by 2. Okay, dou b of x naught comma r by 2. I'm going to take it. So that means, so I have a x naught here, and I have a ball. Let us say r is there. This is nothing but this is x naught. So this is nothing but b of x naught comma r. Now what I'm going to take is that I'm going to take my x in such a way that this is going to be dou b of x naught by r by 2. So r by 2 is somewhere here. Okay, r by 2 is half of the radius. Okay, so therefore what I'm going to take, I'm just going to take my x in dou b of x naught comma r by 2. That means somewhere here it is going to be there. Okay, my x is going to be somewhere here. Okay, which is having dou b of x naught comma r by 2. Okay, so therefore if you take that one, then from this one, if you take the ball b of x comma r by 2, that is going to be also there. Okay, x belongs to, so if this belongs to that, then x is also going to belong to b of x comma r by 2 is going to be there. This is obvious. Okay, this is from that. Same r you are going to take it, so we are going to get it. So that is going to imply that because it is going to be there, so therefore this is going to imply that x belongs to b of x naught comma r is also going to be there, which is subset of omega. Okay, so therefore your we already have that u of xi u of x naught is less than or equal to c by r power n norm u L1 with respect to L1 it is going to be there, and we have, so therefore what you can prove is that you can prove that you can apply the definition of L1. Okay, L1 definition you can apply that, which is going to be the integral is going to be there. So if you apply that, that is going to be, this is going to imply that your u of x naught, u of x is going to be, okay, so u of x naught is this one, and x belongs to b of x naught comma r. Therefore what you are going to get is that this is going to be, you are going to apply the definition of this one. So in that case what you are going to get is that you are going to get, this is r by 2 is there. Okay, this is, you see the relations between x naught and x, it is r by 2. Okay, r by 2 is there, x belongs to dou b of x naught by r by 2 is going to be there. Therefore this is going to be less than or equal to r by 2 power n you are going to apply. So therefore you are going to get 2 by n power r, 2 by r power n is going to come. Okay, so instead of r you are going to get r by 2 is going to come. Okay, r by 2 if you apply, then you are going to get 2 power n by r is going to come. Okay, into c is going to come. Now you got to apply the definition of the b of x naught comma r by 2 also. Okay, that I'm going to apply. So in that case what you are going to get is that you are going to get 1 by alpha n is also going to come, which is nothing but the volume of the ball. Okay, into norm of u into L1 b of x naught comma r. Okay, so therefore what you got is that you got your du of x naught. Okay, so this one I'm just applying over here. Okay, so this one, therefore what you are going to get is that your du of x naught is going to be less than or equal to 2 by r power n plus 1. Okay, so this is there. Okay, I'm just applying it over here. So this is 2 by r is there, and there is a 2 by r power n is there. So apply that together. Okay, so there will be a u L infinity is there. Okay, so here I'm just going to apply that over here because u L infinity is going to be there. So this I can write it as once again less than or equal to etc. I can write it again. You are going to get this one. So therefore what you are going to get is that you are going to get this one. You are going to get it like 1 by alpha n, okay, into norm u of L1 of b of x naught comma r. So that's what we need to climb. Some constant you got to climb. Okay, some constant you got to climb. I got to climb that. Okay, so that's all. So this is, therefore the climb is done. Then you can prove the rest of the thing. Okay, so similarly I have one more exercise where you can prove that d alpha of not only du x naught, you can prove d alpha of x u x naught less than or equal to here 2 power n plus 1 into nk by r is going to come into 1 by r power n alpha n is going to come. Similar kind of things you can prove again and again. You can apply that. Okay, so you can use this property. So I have given already the hint. So instead of r by 2, here I have taken r by 2. So in this case what you have to take is that you have to take r by k, then same kind of setup you can prove it. Okay, same kind of thing. So here everything is same. So what you are going to get is that this B of x naught comma is going to be the same setup. Okay, almost same setup is going to come. Only in the place of r by 2, you are going to get r by k, and this is going, you can prove that this is going to become like k minus 1 by k by r is going to come, and again it is going to be subset of B of x naught comma r. Almost I have given the proof already there. From this one you have to prove this one. Okay, so the same setup you got to use it here. Okay, so with this I'll stop. Next class I'll prove the representation formula, then we'll go for the next one. Then we'll go for the analyticity in the next class. Any questions? Okay, if no questions, thank you.
Sir,
Yeah.
can you send a brief solution to the mid-semester question paper? If
Okay.
possible?
Yeah, I'll send.
Okay, thank you.